Welcome to the introductory training. Today's training will cover the basic fundamentals of navigating throughout the program, as well as setting up your account so you can generate paper list and creating a new user. So the first place I like to start with this training is our navigation menu. The navigation menu allows you to move out freely throughout the program, and we organized it all in a very logical manner. So our first section here is the action section. This is where you can do various actions throughout the program, such as look up individual voters, create your universes, generate your list, do your data entry, and import data from spreadsheets. We then have our outreach section, which is all about our electronic canvassing tools. So inside of here, you will find our online phone bank, our mobile canvassing app, sending out emails, web forms, and our through texting. Over here under reports, this is where you can generate our various reports, voter file reports, your canvassing reports, and our data visualization reports that utilize Tableau. Under the admin section, this is where you can create new data points, change your account settings, create new users, review your outputs, manage your universes, among a list of other various features. The file pickup button will bring you over to the file pickup page. Any file that you generate in the system that contains any sort of proprietary information, this would be voter information or people information that you have entered in yourself, those files will be generated and sent over to the file pickup page. You can also look up any page in the program just by typing in the page here in this search box that will then bring up a list of results, and then to access that page, you will just click on the name of the page in here. The last section of our navigation menu is this little hamburger icon. Clicking on this hamburger icon will bring up a couple of options that allow you to control your user account. The first one is Manage User Profile. Inside of that page, you can change which organization account you are currently viewing. Under Manage Account Geography, it allows you to set a geographic filter to your account. Under Manage Account Geography, it allows you to set a geographic filter to your account. The Switch to Child account allows you to move from your parent account over to any of your child accounts. Most accounts will not have child accounts. It's more of an enterprise feature for larger organizations. However, if you do believe that you do have a child account but you're unable to access, please feel free to contact us. We then have the Help Center button, which will bring you over to our Help Center page, which features all of our written documentation and videos. And then lastly, we have our Sign Out button, which logs you out of your organization account. Below here, we have our home page. The home page is the first page you'll see every time you log into your account by default. And this whole entire page can be completely customized, and it's all divided into separate widgets. Our first widget here is the Quick Links widget. The Quick Links widget features bookmarks to various places in the program. Each one of the bookmarks you see here in the Quick Links widget are also accessible up here in the navigation menu. You can have up to 6 quick links at one time, and if you want to learn how to fully utilize the program, you'll need to learn where things are located in the navigation menu and not just rely on the quick links. However, the quick links are very handy when you find yourself accessing certain pages every time you log into the program. Below that, we have our Key Support Statistics widget. This widget over here will give you an overview of your canvassing efforts over a set election cycle, as well as the number of ballot returns and ballots that have been sent out as well. This section here does not refresh automatically on its own. Instead, every time that you would like to refresh the count that you see in here, you'll need to click this Refresh Key Statistics button up here at the top in order to see that new count. Below that, we have our Daily Statistics widget. This widget here will give you a line graph overview of your canvassing efforts over a set period of time. That set period of time is selected here from this date range drop-down menu. You can go as far back as 30 days. You can also filter by the method that was used to acquire that data, the particular candidate or issue as well. And then once you make any changes in there, just click the Refresh Graph Data button here, which will then refresh your count. Below that, we have our Events Calendar and Events List widget. This widget here will give you a view of all of your upcoming events that you have in your organization account. Currently, I don't have anything coming up in my account. If I did, we would see it marked here in the calendar. This section also allows you to create an event just by double-clicking on any empty space in the calendar, and that will then populate this Create New Event pop-up screen. And then inside of here, you'll fill in all the details you'll need for that event. And if you'd like to associate any activities with that event, you can add those in down here as well. Once you're done making those adjustments, just click the Save Event button, which will then create that event and any activities associated with it. And then from there, you can start inviting people to those events and assigning people to those activities. Below that, we have our System Updates widget. This widget here will give you a list of all of the various updates that have taken place for your account. This will be things such as voter file updates, the early mail voting updates, as well as our software updates. So if we scroll back up to the top of the page, and if we click on the little gear icon here, this will then allow us to bring up the Customize Your Homepage pop-up screen. So inside of this pop-up screen, we can actually customize the entirety of our homepage. The first 6 drop-down menus, Quick Link 1 through Quick Link 6, allows us to adjust the quick links in the quick links section. So inside of here, we can make any sort of selections to the various quick links that we'd like. So if we'd like to change that first one over to account settings, we could do that, so on and so forth. And here, if there's a quick link that you do not want for one reason or another, you can always select the No Item option, which will then hide that quick link. Below that, we have the homepage component section, which controls the various widgets that you see below the quick link section. So we only have 4 different homepage components: the daily statistics, events calendar, key support statistics, and system updates. Now, if you do not want one of those widgets for one reason or another, just select the No Item option for that widget that you do not want to see. Below that, we have 2 different checkboxes. The first one is Save this layout as my default view. So if you would like to see this view as your default view, just leave that checkbox activated. And if you would like to make this view also usable by others, just activate this Save this layout for others to use, followed by entering in a name for that layout here in the Layout Name text box. From there, just click the Save button here to save those changes. Once you click the Save button, if you did create a new layout for yourself, your screen will then refresh and you'll then see that new layout. Okay, so that is it for our homepage. The next place in the program that we are going to cover is creating a new user. This is done under the admin section of the navigation menu under Add/Edit User Accounts. So here in the Add Edit User Accounts page, we'll go ahead and create a new user. This is done by clicking on the Add New User button here in the top right-hand corner. So inside of here, to create a new user, you'll first need to enter in that individual's first name, followed by entering in their last name. From there, you'll then enter in their email address, and then you'll assign them a permission profile. The permission profile is the amount of access to the program that they will have, and from there, just click the Save button here, and that will then create that user. The email address entered in the email address text box must be valid, because that individual will need to verify their email address in order to access their account and set their own password. We do have an extra level of security that you can also add to an individual's account. And this is done by using the mobile phone text box here to enter in the individual's phone number and activating the required 2-factor authentication via Authy app checkbox. So that is it for creating a new user. The next place in the program we're going to cover is the individual people search page. This is where you can look up individual voters, and it's located under the Actions section of the navigation menu under Individual People Search. So in here, when you're searching for an individual, the first thing I always like to do is always like to make sure I'm looking in the correct database. We have multiple places where you can look. This is done under the Search Data Filter drop-down menu, and the one that you'll usually see by default is the Voters Only option. This will search exclusively in the voter database. Below that, we have My People Only, which will search exclusively in the People database. Voters and People, which will search in both databases at the same time. Volunteers Only, which will search exclusively in the People database for individuals that you've marked as volunteers. And then Donors Only, which will search in the People database for individuals that you've marked as donors. So a search in here is as simple as just typing in any sort of character in the last name, first name, or middle initial text boxes to start your search. For this, we'll just be a little bit more narrow by typing in a letter here and a letter here, followed by clicking the search button, and this will then bring up the first 2,000 results of everyone within our geography that meets this criteria. We'll be able to see down here we actually only have 94, and that's just because there are less than 2,000 people that actually meet that criteria. Now let's say this list is still too large for us to filter through. If we'd wanted to, we can still also narrow down the scope of this list if we'd like by clicking this Show Additional Search Options link up here at the top. And then we'll have access to address number, street name, city, zip code, email address, party, phone number, birth date, precinct, county, blue vote ID, saved voter universes, and saved people universes. So in here, we can add a party filter. So if we know the individual that we're looking for is a Democrat, we can then filter again, and this should then narrow down the scope even more so. Now we only have 38, and let's say this was enough. Now if we have located the individual that we were looking for, if we hover over their flags button here, we can see any flags that are currently associated with their account. If we hover over someone who doesn't have flags, we'll just see no flags available. And if we wanted to access their record, we'll just go ahead and click on their name, and that will then bring us over to their person details page. So inside of their person details page, we can see a little bit about the individual. The contact IDs tab will show you basic flag information that you've collected about the individual, their current support status, all the flags that are associated with their record. The comments section will show you any comments about the individual that you have entered into the program. Under volunteer info, will show you any volunteer information you've collected about the individual and entered into the program. The donor info tab will show you any donation information you've collected about the individual. The event info tab will show you any events you've invited the individual to, as well as if they purchased any tickets. The communication info tab will show you any emails you've sent the individual. And the voter info tab will show you any basic voter information about the person. Inside of here, you can see their party, birth date, ethnicity, gender, birthplace, their registration date, their PDI ID, their permanent vote by mail status, their mail ballot behavior. Always late means within the last 10 days. Early means before the last 10 days. Voting history, and districts. So that is it for the individual people search page. The next place in the program that we'll cover is creating new data points. This is done under the admin section of the navigation menu under surveys and data configuration. So inside of the surveys and data configuration page, we'll only be focusing in on 3 different tabs today. That would be the ID flags tab, the survey questions tab, and the printed surveys tab. So we'll first start with the ID flags tab. ID flags are various properties that you would like to mark an individual with. These properties can range such as this individual is a strong supporter, they would like to donate, their phone number is bad, they weren't home, so on and so forth. Usually we'll use these as the responses to your survey questions. Now all accounts will come with a number of default ID flags such as yard sign, strong support, strong oppose, undecided, so on and so forth. However, you may find yourself in a situation where you'll need a new custom ID flag. In those situations, you'll create a new one by clicking on the Add New button here in the top right-hand corner. Inside of the Create New ID Flag pop-up screen, you'll use the flag value text box to name your ID flag. This can be anything that you'd like. The flag value is the way that your ID flag will be referenced throughout the program, as well as how your ID flag will be displayed on any paper canvassing tool, such as a printed phone list or a printed walk list. You'll then use the description text box to enter in a description for your ID flag. This is the way that your ID flag will be displayed on any electronic canvassing tool, such as the online phone bank, mobile app, or a web form. From there, we'll use the Associate With drop-down menu to add an association to our ID flag. This adds context to the ID flag so the program knows exactly what to do with it. Earlier in today's training, where we covered those various locations that included support status, this is where our system gets that support status from. Inside of here, we have various support levels: strong support, lean support, undecided, so on and so forth. However, we also have various IDs, non-contact options, issues, and intention to vote. Whenever you can use these, I always recommend that you do. However, if you are creating a flag where there is no relation to any of our options inside of here, please feel free to select the None option, which will then let your flag function just as a basic flag. So from there, you'll click the Save button to save your ID flag, or if you'd like to save your ID flag and create an additional ID flag, click the Save and Add New button. So once all of your ID flags have been created, you're then ready to create your survey question. This is done in the Survey Questions section here. Now, all accounts will come with 4 default non-contact disposition code sets. These are non-contact code sets that are automatically displayed on our various canvassing tools. These code sets are non-contact mobile, non-contact online phone bank, non-contact phone, and non-contact walk. These code sets do not count as survey questions, so whenever you're creating a list in our program, let this be a electronic canvassing tool or one of our paper canvassing tools, you'll need at least one survey question that you'll need to create. Now, these non-contact code sets can all be edited just by clicking on the code set that you would like to edit. That will then bring up this little pop-up screen you'll just click the Continue button, and then inside of here, you'll have access to that code set. If you do not want to display that code set on the canvassing tool, you'll just deactivate this Show These Non-Contact Codes on Your List checkbox. If you would like to change the ID flags that are associated with that canvassing tool, you'll use the various drop-down menus over here. This allows you to switch out one for another. If you would like to remove a response, just click the red button here, and if you would like to add an additional response, click the green button here. And then use the new drop-down menu to select the new response. Once you're happy with your changes, just click the Save button here. Now to create an actual new survey question, you'll click on the Add New button here in the top right-hand corner. Inside of here, you'll use the Survey Question short text box to name your question. From there, you'll use the Label text box, enter in a label for your survey question. The label is a 3-character code that will prefix your survey question on any printed list that you generate in the system. Now, if you do not enter in a label, the label will be shown as Q01, Q02, Q03, or wherever it appears in the series of questions. From there, we'll use the question type drop-down menu to select the type of question that we're generating. Inside of here, you'll have a list of options. Depending on what it is that you select, we'll limit the types of responses that you'll have access to. For example, selecting candidate campaign ballot measure support will give you access to only support-related ID flags. If we don't want this auto response, we can just deactivate this autofill answers checkbox here. And then if we look at the drop-down menu here, we only have support-related responses. Now, if we want something with various associations, then we'll need to select our other Use Any Flag Answers option here. And this will then give us access to all of our various ID flags. Once you've made your selections here, you'll then want to make sure that your survey question is pointing towards the correct candidate or issue in your account. Most accounts will only have one candidate or issue. However, if you are using multiple candidates or issues, you will always want to make sure that you're pointing towards the correct candidate or issue. Once you're happy with your changes, just click the Save button here to save those changes. Okay, so that is it for our survey questions. Once you have created all of your survey questions, you'll then need to group them together in what we like to call a printed survey. This is done under the Printed Surveys sub-tab, and then inside of here, you'll click the Add New button. Here, inside of the Printed Surveys tab, you'll use the Printed Survey Name text box to name your survey. You'll then use the Question drop-down menu to select the first question you would like to appear. For any additional questions, just click the green plus button here like so. And once you're happy with your selections, just click the Save Survey button here. And then once you create your printed survey, you'll then basically be ready to generate your list. Okay, so that is it for our surveys and data configuration section. The next place in the program that we're going to cover is creating the actual universe. This is where you'll set the group of voters that you would like to target for your list. This is done under the Action section of the navigation menu under Create Universes. So this here is our Create Universes page. It's divided into two different sections, Create Voter Universes and Create People Universes. Today we'll only be covering the Voter Universes section, and what we'll be doing first is we'll cover all of the various tabs that are in here, and then afterwards we'll go over the actual logic of creating a universe. So our first tab is the Simple Target Fields tab. This tab here contains all of the basic elements that you'll need to create a universe. However, all the options that you see in here are covered in all of our various other tabs. So we'll just skip over this tab today, since we actually are going to cover all of these elements, and jump directly into the Vote History tab. So this here is our Vote History tab. It's divided into two different sections. On the left is the actual vote history, and on the right are our PDI predefined universes. We'll first focus here on the left. So inside of this vote history section, we have two different ways that we can view vote history. We have this very generic by election sort of view. So inside of here, we can click on all of these various elections. However, some of these elections may not actually apply to our geography. For example here, the city of Sacramento never had a 2019 local. So if we go ahead and select that election, we can see we have very few voters here because they just moved in from other districts, and that election actually never took place within the city of Sacramento. So if we wanted to gain access to only the elections that actually took place in our geography, we'll want to select this List All Elections by Date link here. And then afterwards, we'll then be given a list of only the elections that have taken place in our geography. So inside of here, we can select as many election options as we'd like. And currently we have 5 election options here in our pending criteria. Currently, the way how it's set, it's saying that we were looking for any voter who's voted in at least one of these 5 selected elections. But we can do a little bit more to narrow down that scope. We can narrow it down to mail ballots only or poll voters only. We can set a minimum amount here in this voted in at least section. So we can say that we want individuals who have voted in at least 3 of these elections. And we can also set a governor to it and say that we want people who voted in no more than 4 of these elections. So if someone has voted in less than 3, they're not in our universe, just like if someone has voted in all 5, they were also not in our universe. Below that, we can then further combine that with registration criteria. In here, we have this voted in election criteria above and whatever date range it is that we set in here. Or we can say that we want individuals who voted in 3 or 4 of these selected elections or registered between whatever date it is that we set in here. So over here in our pending criteria section, this is sort of our shopping cart, and once we click this add criteria, it's like we're checking out that shopping cart. So I'm just going to clear out this criteria here by clicking the clear button up here at the top. To the right, we have our PDI Universes. These are our predefined universes, and the way how these work, 20P means the 2020 primary, and that 1 is the top propensity voter. So these individuals are the most likely to vote. 20P2 would contain everyone in 20P1, as well as some other individuals who are a little less likely to vote. 20P3 would contain everyone in 20P2, as well as some additional people who are less likely to vote, so on and so forth as you move up the list. Now, if you select one of these universes here, you'll then be given the list of criteria. Most of these are nothing more than just a combination of vote history and registration history. And you can click this Show Description of All PDI Universes link here, and you'll then gain access to a PDF that contains all of the information as well. Our next tab is the Demographics tab. Inside of here, this is where you can create a universe by using various demographic options. Inside of here, we have residential information, party, language, various means of communication, age, gender, registration makes a return in here as well, comments that are entered in, birthday, various miscellaneous information, birthplace, house party makeup, number of voters in a household, the average household income, this is all census information, marital status, geographic and demographic clusters, our freehand code is in here if you'd like to type that in, as well as election results. We then have our Geography tab. Inside of here we have 4 different subtabs. Our first subtab is Quick District Find, which allows you to type in the name of any district that you would like, and then it will come up here in the list, and then you'll just select the district it is that you would like to use. You can select multiple districts at one time, and if one was added in error, you can just click the X button here to remove it like so. We then have the List of Districts view, which allows you to filter by a list rather than by typing in the name. So inside of here, you'll just select the type of district that it is that you would like to filter by. And then inside of here, you'll just activate the checkbox of those various options. If this list here is too long for you, you can then even narrow down the scope further by using the Only Areas drop-down menu to select the district type that you would like to use to narrow down the scope, and then using the Areas drop-down menu to select the actual area, and that will then decrease your list, and then you'll just make your selections in here. Our next tab is the Rank Precincts subtab. Inside of here, you'll have to actually have added criteria previously to your universe, so we'll go ahead and add that pending criteria. And then inside of here, we have 2 different ways how we can actually rank our precincts and get the universe from those ranked precincts. The first one is just by using our way that we'd like to filter our list of precincts. We can either do it by voter, household, voter percentage, or household percentage. And from there, you'll use the From and To text boxes to set your threshold of the precincts that you would like to acquire for your universe. Our other option is using the Show Precinct Counts button here, which will then return a table full of the various statistics. So inside of here, you'll need to activate the checkbox of the precincts that it is that you would like to target for your universe. And then afterwards, you would add that criteria to your universe, just like you would all the other various elements. Our last subtab in here is the Map Areas subtab. This subtab allows you to actually hand carve an area to target. So inside of here, you'll click on the Cut Turf button. And from there, you'll just click on any point on the map where you would like to draw a point. And once you're happy, tap the original point. And then inside of here, you'll use the Name text box to name your turf. you'll use the turf group drop-down menu to select the actual group that the turf should be placed in. If you would like to use a new group, you can either use the area name as the group name, or you can create an entirely new one. You can also use previously carved turf by using this Show Turf drop-down menu and activating the checkboxes of the turfs that you would like to incorporate into your universe. Our next tab is the My Flags tab. This tab here features 3 different subtabs. Our first subtab is the Support IDs subtab, which allows you to query by support status. So inside of here we have 2 different sides. On the left side is an individual's current support status. So you can use this drop-down menu here to select the candidate or issue you'd like to filter by. Currently only have one, which is why we only have one option in here. And then inside of here you can either filter by including those voters by activating the checkboxes on the left, or excluding those voters, or excluding those households where at least one person meets the criteria of the selections in here. On the right side is our support status flag section. Over here we can filter by support status history, so you'll use the drop-down menu to select the candidate or issue, and then inside of here you'll have all of the various support status histories that have all taken place in your account. This account here doesn't have anyone with 2 different statuses, but these always read from left to right, with the leftmost being the oldest status and the rightmost being their current status. Our next subtab is the All Flag Data subtab. So inside of here you can query for the actual flags themselves, and these can all be filtered down by the candidate or issue, the survey question, flag response, acquisition type, the dates those flags were collected, and you can also use the Show Additional Options checkbox here, and then use the username, canvasser name, or the flag response type as well to further narrow down the scope of voters that you would like to target. Now, if you would like access to all of your flags, just leave all the drop-down menus in here blank and just use the flag response drop-down menu to select the actual flag that it is that you would like to target. If you activate this Show Flag Grid checkbox here, you'll then gain access to all of your flags all at the same time. Inside of here, just activate the checkbox for the flags that it is that you would like to include. Our last subtab is the Email Status Flags. This is where you can query for emails that have been sent out in your account. The email deliveries are located here. The actual categories where those emails are located are here in the middle under Email Categories, and then the right is the results that have actually taken place in those emails. Our next tab is the Early Voting tab, which allows you to query for an individual's permanent vote by mail status. So if they've been issued a mail ballot, if they've returned their mail ballot, if they're classified as permanent vote by mail, if they live in a mail ballot precinct, as well as their mail ballot return behavior. So if they always return it early, usually return it early, if they do both, if they're usually late, always late, and the number of times they voted by mail. Our next tab is the Models tab, which allows you to query for models that have been loaded into your account. The models are located under the Model Name drop-down menu. Inside of here, you'll use this drop-down menu to select the model. Once a model has been selected, and once it has completed loading, you'll then see the model loaded here in the screen. Inside of here, you'll use these sliders to select the actual score range of the model that you would like to utilize. And from there, you would just add the criteria to your universe just like you would any other criteria. Our last tab is the Save Universes tab. This tab here allows you to query for universes that have already been created in your account. You only can query for one universe per criteria group. So for example, if I try to activate 2 checkboxes at the same time, we'll see that it just moves the checkbox from one to the other. So if you'd like to cross 2 universes together, you'll first need to add one, and then afterwards add in the second universe. Okay, so that is it for the tab overview portion. Now we'll actually cover the actual logic of creating a universe. Now let's say you wanted a universe of just Democrats. You would simply just select Democrat like so, add that criteria to your universe, and that will then give you all the Democrats within your account's geography. However, if you actually wanted to do a universe of Democrats and Republicans, what we could have done originally was just select Democrat and Republican at the same time and added that criteria to our universe, and that would have gave us Democrats and Republicans. However, we can also do it while we currently have criteria pending inside of here. Now if you look over here on the right, we actually have a couple of new options. Intersect Criteria, Expand Criteria, Exclude Criteria, and Exclude Dead, Move, Voted, Suppress. Now, it's usually most people's initial instinct when they say that I want a universe of Democrats and Republicans, they would click this Intersect Criteria and button here. However, if we click that button, we can see that our count drops down to 0, and that's because our universe is actually looking for individuals who are Democrat and Republican. Since it's impossible for an individual to be registered to two parties at the same time, this will always return a count of 0. What we actually would have wanted to select was the Expand Criteria or button. So we can either remove this criteria by clicking this X button here, going back up, and reselecting that Republican criteria, or we can just change this drop-down menu here to OR, refresh our pending universe, and that will then bring our count up where it should be. So now we've increased from 132,673 to 171,887 here. Now let's say we actually didn't want all Republicans, but we only wanted Latino Republicans. Now if we try to select the Latino criteria here, and then click this Intersect Criteria and button, we're going to see our count drop down drastically. And this is because this Latino criteria is actually being intersected with everything that comes before it. So our universe is currently only looking at Democrats who are Latinos and Republicans who are Latinos. So if we actually only wanted Republican Latinos, what we'll need to do is remove both of these criteria here by clicking on their X buttons, refresh our pending universe, and then select the Republican option, Latino option, expand criteria or, and now we can see a modest increase of our universe. So this is exactly what we're looking for here. Below that we have our exclude criteria and not, which will remove a group of people from your universe based off of whatever options it is that you've selected in here. If you are using that exclude criteria and not option, make sure you're not activating this exclude checkbox here first, as this will cause a double negative. Then our last button down below is the exclude, dead, move, voted, and suppress button. Clicking this button will automatically remove anyone from your universe who's been marked as dead, moved, voted, or suppress. Above all of those buttons, we have two other buttons here in our pending criteria. The first one is add criteria by household. This will check against an entire household for at least one person that meets the qualifications for your universe. For example, currently my universe is all Democrats. Now, if I select the Republican option and say that I only want Democrats who live in a house with a Republican, I can intersect that Republican criteria there, and that will actually give me results rather than 0. These are all of the Democrats who live in a household with a Republican. And below that is the Add Criteria Without Counts button. Activating that button there and selecting any criteria will allow you to rapidly add criteria to your universe without recalculating anything. Once you're ready to recalculate your counts, just deactivate that button, and that will then process your counts. Once you're happy with your universe, you can save your universe by clicking the Save Universe button. Inside of the Save Universe pop-up screen, you'll use the Universe Name text box to name your universe. You'll then use the Universe Folder drop-down menu to select the folder you would like to place the universe in. If the folder you would like to use doesn't exist, click the Add New Folder button here, and then use the Name text box to name your universe, followed by clicking the Save button. From there, click the Save Universe button to save your universe. However, just note that our universes are dynamic living lists, so as people move in and out of the district, your universe will fluctuate in size. Now, if you would like for your universe to not fluctuate in size, activate this Save as Static List checkbox. However, the dynamic universes are usually best for most situations. Okay, so that is it for creating a universe. The next place in the program that we're going to cover is generating lists and files. This is located under the Actions section of the navigation menu under List and Files under Process List and Files. So here in the Process List and Files page, this is where you can generate all of your outputs in the program. So the first thing that we'll do is use the Name Your List or File text box to name our walk list. We'll then use the Choose Your List or File drop-down menu to select the file type that we're generating. Inside of here, you'll have a list of various options: digital media ads, printable walk list, phone list, electronic phone files, mail files, various miscellaneous outputs, maps, so on and so forth. Inside of here, we'll just do our walk list. We'll then select our layout. Your layout options will be restricted by your list type. Now by default, you'll only see the universes that you have created in your account here in this list. Now if you would like to see universes created by others, activate this Show All checkbox. From there, use the Choose a Printable Survey drop-down menu to select the survey that you would like to use. And then use the Select a Pickup Folder drop-down menu to select your file pickup folder. So from there, we can process our list just by clicking Process File. However, there are a couple more options that we can do in here. One, we know that our list is 132,000 individuals, which is a very large list. Now, if we wanted to shrink that list by geography, we could always head back over to Create Universes, create a whole new universe, and add a geographic filter. However, we can also do that in here by clicking the Add Geography Filter button. Inside of here, we'll use the List of Districts drop-down menu to select the type of district we would like to filter by. And then inside of here, we'll then be given a list of all of those district types that intersect with our geography. Click on the areas that you would like to use, and then click the Add Criteria to Universe button to add it in. Once it has been added in, you'll see a message down here saying Filter added successfully. And if you click that See More link, you'll then be given a list of all the geographies that were selected. If you would like to remove that filter, click the X button here. We can also add various custom options to our list by clicking the Show Custom Options link up here at the top. Inside of here, our first three drop-down menus allow us to differentiate an individual in a special way. We can do this by adding a checkmark next to their name. Each one of these lists will contain a list of all of the universes that have been created in your account. We can also bold someone, as well as add a 3-character code in their record. The 3-character code is entered in the text box next to the drop-down menu. We can change the sorting order of our file by using the drop-down menu here. All of our walk list and phone list will show an individual's current support status for the default candidate or issue in the account. If you have multiple candidates or issues, you can use the Choose Candidate/Issue drop-down menu to select the candidate or issue's support status that you would like to display. You can set the acquisition type here under the Acquisition Type drop-down menu. Below the drop-down menus, we have 3 checkboxes. The first one is Automatically Create Precinct Maps. This checkbox will always be activated by default. Now, if you do not want your precinct maps generated with your file, deactivate that checkbox. However, if you do want your maps, leave it activated. Note that if we do not have maps for your district, they will not print out with the file generation. Below that is Run Precinct Counts, which will run a precinct count report alongside your file. If you want the count report, activate the checkbox. If not, leave it deactivated. Below that is Do Not Remove Dead, NCOA, or Voted. By default, anyone who's been marked as dead, national change of address, or voted is removed from your list. If you would like to include those individuals back in, activate that checkbox, and this will work as long as you're not excluding those individuals from your base universe. Once you're happy with your selections, click the Process File button to generate your file. If the file you're generating exceeds the terms of your contract, you must enter in your billing authorization code in order to verify the cost of the file, and then click the I Approve Purchase button. Once your file has successfully generated, you'll then be given a pop-up screen notifying you of the record count of the file. That file will then be located in your file pickup folder for download. To access your file pickup folder, you can either click the File Pickup button here, or click the File Pickup button here in the navigation menu. Now, to access your file pickup folder, you must know your file pickup password. Now, if you do not know your file pickup password, and as long as you have admin access, you can always look up your password by hovering your mouse over admin and clicking on the Account Settings button. Head over to File Pickup Management, and then inside of here, you'll get a list of all of your pickup folders and their corresponding passwords. Enter in your password in the password box, click the Open Folder button, and then inside of here, you'll then be given a list of all of your files. Click on the name of the file to download it, and save the files to your computer. For our walk list, we're giving 2 separate files. The first one featuring maps, and the second file featuring the actual walk list. Inside of this walk list, you can see that some individuals have check marks, others are bolded, and some have that 18p code. Now let's say your canvassers have completed their canvassing and you're ready to get that data back into the program. This will be done in the data entry section, located under Actions, Data Entry, Canvas/phone list. So inside of the Canvas/phone list page, we have 3 different options for data entry. The first one we'll cover is standard barcode scanning. Just like it sounds, it does require a barcode scanner. To start this process, you'll need your list ID. You'll enter in your list ID in the Enter the List ID from your printed list. Press the Enter key, and the screen will flash momentarily. You can then associate that canvassing with a canvasser, set a date for those flags, and once you do both of those, click on the Create Response Template button here. This will then generate your response template, which contains a list of all of your various responses. You will want to print this PDF file out so you can do your scanning. From there, click the Start Scanning Mode button, and the first thing that you'll want to do is scan the barcode of the voter. Once you've scanned in the voter's barcode, you will then see their information populate inside of here. You'll see their name and their address. Once that information has populated, you'll then scan the barcodes of all of their various responses. If they were a supporter, you would scan that barcode. If they requested a lawn sign, you would scan that barcode as well, same as with the volunteer. Once you have scanned in all of their responses, you would then scan the barcode of the next voter to move on to that voter, and then scan in their responses, so on and so forth. Once you have scanned in all of your responses, you can just close out this page as standard barcode scanning saves automatically. Our next type of data entry is reverse barcode scanning. The process starts the same way. You'll enter in your list ID, canvasser name, the date it was canvassed, create your response template, click that Start Scanning Mode button. However, reverse barcode scanning is best when you're only worried about maybe 1 or 2 different flags. This type of data entry works by first scanning the barcode of the response that you would like to scan in. You will then see the response value here in the response value text box. You will then scan the barcode of all the voters who should receive that response. Once you're ready to change your response, just head back over to that response sheet, scan the new response, and then head back over to your walk list and scan the voters with that response. Once you have completed your data entry, just close off the screen as reverse barcode scanning saves automatically. Our last type of data entry is manual data entry. Manual data entry allows you to enter in data without a barcode scanner. This works by first entering in your list ID like so. Once the screen has finished loading, you can then associate that canvassing with a particular canvasser, filter the list by precinct, street name, odd and even side of the street, or even look up an individual by their PDI ID. Below in the table is where you'll do your actual data entry. Inside of here, you'll then be given the label to all of the questions, and you'll use the Select Answer drop-down menu to select the response. Once you're ready to move on to the next page, you can click the Save/Next Page button. The other option is to use the arrows down below the list. Just note that if you do use this method down below, you'll want to click the Save Changes button first, as manual data entry does not save automatically. Once you have completed your manual data entry, you'll want to click the Save Changes button one last time. This will save all the data that you have entered in on that last page. If you do not click this button, then all of your data entry will be wiped when you close out the page. That concludes the PDI Introductory Training. I'd like to thank you for viewing this video.